This is the Ghoul's Guide to Santa Barbara. We are not doing Get Help.
I don't know.
We are not doing Get Help. Just give us a clue. I don't know.
Neither of you have probably seen this. This is my wheelhouse, not yours.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that the clue?
I don't know. There's no clue I
Who's
could
in
come
it?
up with.
Oh,
It's
time frame or something.
Or who's in it?
that quote is by Tom Hiddleston.
We're not doing Get Help. Is it from a Loki thing?
It is.
Okay. I wouldn't even know like what those movies are called.
That's what I'm saying.
Thor. Thor 1. Thor 2.
It's from Thor Ragnarok.
Okay.
Which I've seen, but I just don't.
I don't know if I've seen that
It's the scene where Thor and Loki are in the elevator, and he does a callback to like something they used to do as a kid called Get Help. And he basically, the elevator doors open, and he's holding Loki, and he's like, "Help, help, my brother!" And then he chucks him at the people, and then they take them all down.
Fun.
Yeah,
Chris Hemsworth again.
Tom Hiddleston again.
Tom
But
Hiddleston.
more again is the fact that yes, this is the second Taika Waititi movie that I have done
Oh, yeah.
because he's the best.
He's
So
enjoyable.
Have you been watching Our Flag Means Death? The next
Yes, and
season?
I watched another 2 episodes last night, and that's why I chose this movie
Awesome.
because I was once again enamored with Taika.
I can't watch it yet because I don't have HBO, but what's the verdict overall? Are you enjoying
I
season
am.
2?
It's the greatest thing
Yeah.
that has come out.
Can
in
I
a
log
long
into your
time.
HBO?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you can use one
I
of
mean, no
ours.
HBO. I
yeah.
won't share my login information.
It's so
Sorry.
it's so good.
It's so good.
It's
I'm so glad.
so
Yeah.
good.
Did you watch the first season?
I watched
right?
the first season
Yeah.
like multiple times.
Yeah.
And it made its way into my working life too, where I'd be like, and what do we do if something happens? We talk it through. as a
Taika
crew.
crew.
Oh,
That should be our motto
it
here too.
should. Oh my gosh.
It's god, yeah. So this particular movie was is kind of polarizing in the superhero genre community.
Oh God, is there a community? Are you in it?
Yeah, no, watch. This is going to be.
I love you.
We're now getting into the territory of this could be our most popular. We could get the most hits on this
my
episode
gosh.
because of all the
You're gonna cause some
gatekeeping
drama.
nerd boys that are probably going to come in here and tell me that my opinion sucks. But
Do it.
but like part of comic lore is the fact that like you have characters and then you have different writers and artists who take them in different places.
Sure.
And that's part of the greatest thing about it is that these people get to create things that all kind of intersect with these particular characters. I personally feel like Loki as a character is just peak. But I also, I have thoughts and concerns. I feel like nobody's really quite figured out exactly how to really honor him the best way in any of these movies and TV shows. Kenneth Branagh did the first Thor movie.
Really?
And
Really?
taking someone who had done more classic movies and
Shakespearean.
and was handed amazing Shakespearean actors like Tom Hiddleston. They did that. It was a great movie, but Taika did what nobody had done with these movies before, and it was just so fun. And
His brand of humor.
his brand is amazing, and I know there's a lot of people that don't like the movie and it was too weird for them, but I personally love it and I think it's great. And he's doing a Flash Gordon
no
remake
way.
and I am so excited about that one because I loved the original Flash Gordon and I cannot wait to see what Taika is going to do with it.
That is awesome. Well, thanks, Jen.
Yeah.
Oh wait, real quick. Is that the one? Is that the one with? I can't remember.
Wait,
Hela.
Yes,
the sister?
yes.
Okay.
oh God, what is it? Kate Blanchett.
Yeah,
as
I
Hela.
love her.
But most importantly, Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie.
Okay, I did see that one.
I got a chill.
She is so beautiful.
I mean, I've identified as straight my whole life, but Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie in that movie. Thank you, Taika.
In everything that she's in. What's that?
Well, yeah,
other
that
show?
was. But that would there's just like a moment when she's like walking in slow motion.
What's that show? That HBO show with like, my brain is.
While you think of it,
Yeah.
I'm just going to say that I really appreciated the representation of Valkyrie's alcoholism
Yes.
as being based in trauma.
Yes.
I loved that. Like
Yeah.
that was good.
Taika just the way he carries, like the way he holds things in his hand and places them is just so beautiful always.
Yeah, that was
He's really good at that.
that representation I think was important for some people.
Yeah. Also, what was I just going to say? Oh, speaking of Tessa Thompson and Chris Helmsworth, they were great in the Men in Black.
Yes, that was so
Oh,
much
I
fun.
didn't see that.
Yeah, that was a great one.
Did you think of it, Liz?
Oh, I'm trying to fucking
Oh, F-bomb.
Google it.
What are you trying to think of?
The show that she's in.
That was her first F-bomb, I think, the whole time.
No, I don't think it is.
The
But
show that Tessa Thompson's in?
yeah. Oh, God damn it. We'll just delete this whole part.
No.
Yeah.
This whole part of me finding the thing.
No.
They don't have to listen to us Googling.
I got to turn on
I'm gonna try and find
the haptics so you can hear it.
Tessa Thompson shows. Westworld?
Yes, Westworld.
She was
Thank
on
you.
Veronica Mars? Sorry. I hate when like IMDb or something, when someone goes on, because I just was like, what? She's on Loki? She hasn't been yet. I hope that's not a spoiler.
It is. Oh yeah, Westworld was good.
Yeah.
Except until the end.
Right, and I
last
think
season.
it is the last season that she's in, but like she's this little bright spot in it.
She's good.
Yeah, I enjoy her very much, and she's beautiful.
So today, I'm gonna
Oh
start
wait,
over.
I was gonna say.
Beep beep beep. Oh, you're not done. Okay.
I know. I was gonna say back to your movie quote. When we recorded our 13 fave movies and things, I almost picked. Oh my God, my stupid brain! The Tom Hiddleston movie with Jessica Chastain and
Crimson Peak.
Crimson Peak.
Oh
yes!
man, I should have put that on mine.
That movie is so
It's so good.
It's like
I've never seen it.
It's beautiful people in beautiful costumes doing beautiful things.
and it's like kind of
It's gothic.
it's like kind of a bad movie, but like
Yeah.
it's a really good,
Is it?
enjoyable
Okay.
yeah.
movie. Yeah.
The cinematography's great. The color use
Yeah.
is really awesome. And it's Tom Hiddleston, so you can't go wrong. I mean, we were watching Loki last night, and I was at one point I was just like, he's just so good at wearing clothes. He just wears clothes really well.
Okay, that was all I had to add.
I didn't know this intro was going to be so thirsty. I apologize.
Oh, thirst. All right. So this is the Ghoul's Guide to Santa Barbara. I'm Summers,
I'm Liz.
I'm Jen.
and today Liz is going to tell us about the ghost town of Betteravia.
That's right.
I'm so interested.
Me too.
I don't know what this is about.
It's about a ghost town.
Sassy.
So, a ghost town called Betteravia. So, if you have driven north of Santa Barbara on the 101 up
I
through
have.
Santa Maria,
I too have.
You may have noticed the exit for Betteravia Road. Mm-hmm. Probably didn't think much of it unless maybe you were heading out to Vandenberg Air Force Base or
Space Force.
or
Got
Guadalupe, or you wanted to avoid Highway 1 for whatever reason. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been to Guadalupe, and I don't think I've been on Highway 1 through that part of the county, but
Okay.
like I've noticed that exit, just like you recognize street names that you pass frequently.
Now that you said that, I'm like, oh, that's where I've heard this name before.
Yeah. Okay. So, this week my story is about Betteravia, which is not just the name of the road or the government center in Santa Maria.
Oh.
But it was a former town that was out on Betteravia Road and is maybe Santa Barbara County's only ghost town. So, I think that like ghost towns aren't really something that you think about in our area.
Right.
But I grew up in Northern California and like went to ghost towns as a kid. Have you guys ever been to
I've been to Calico.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I
Been
was going to
there.
ask, like, so, I mean, I've heard the term a lot, but is a ghost town just like a town that just went, like, everybody left and it was just left? Or is it, like, are there actual ghosts there and that's why
I think it's generally just, it's abandoned.
just an abandoned
Yeah.
town? Okay.
I mean, but like some of them have lore around them, like Bodhi, if you know. But I think all ghost towns, they're like, don't take anything from here or you'll be haunted, because they just don't want stuff to, like,
Oh, right.
they don't want it to just keep being dismantled.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So it could be both.
Yeah, could be
but
both.
it's generally
There's
a
crossover.
boom town.
Yeah, usually
that-
it's like Gold Rush, right?
Yeah, that was abandoned because the opportunities dried up.
Yeah, like the ones that I went to as a kid were definitely, I think, of that era.
Gold Rush.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like there were even like old mine shafts, you know, that like
Yeah, I'm picturing
slightly venture into and then get really freaked out and be like, okay, I better not be in here.
there's like a section at Knott's Berry Farm that's like a ghost town, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't been there in 100 years.
Yeah, and they have a mine train ride.
Oh, yeah.
in that same section.
So if you take that Betteravia Road exit and head west, in about 4 miles, you're outside the Santa Maria city limits. The North County Jail is right there, that new jail.
Okay.
But if you continue on for about another mile, you will reach the remnants of a little town called Betteravia.
Can we go?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you. So I learned that the word Betteravia comes from betterave, which is the French word for sugar beet or sweet root.
Wow.
And,
This is so satisfying to my brain.
Yay.
Thank you, Liz.
and this town sprung up around a sugar factory that was established there in 1899.
Oh, could I tell you something?
Yes.
I'm so sorry to be this person again. So when I lived in England, I lived in York, and there are 2 chocolate factories nearby, like Willy Wonka.
I was gonna say.
And one of them, the Roundtree's factory, is close to York enough that when they process sugar beets, you smell it all over town.
Wow.
And they smell like bacon.
Really?
I thought I was gonna say, did they smell like chocolate?
No, they smell like bacon.
That's
Wow, so the whole town
interesting.
smells like
just
bacon.
just in case you wanted a, I was going to say nasal picture, but I don't think nasal is the word. An olfactory picture of what a sugar beet town
It smells
might
like
smell like.
bacon. How interesting. Yeah. I went to York once, and I like to think it was when you lived there.
I bet it might have been.
It
When
was-
did you go?
2000?
Yep, I was
Save
there.
it for the
She
8
was
ball.
there. So when I tell you that I went on a deep dive into the history of sugar and the sugar industry,
I love that.
and I'm trying to spare you from anyway, I'm just gonna give you
Tell us all
too
about
much.
sugar.
So I apologize in advance. But we love useless trivia. So
We do.
So most sugar comes from sugarcane.
Okay.
Currently, like 79% of the sugar worldwide comes from sugarcane, and the rest mostly comes from sugar beets. So I read that cane sugar has been used for much longer than beet sugar.
Okay.
Early Greeks and Romans wrote about how rare cane sugar was. In the 3rd century BC, it was called honey from bamboos. Just like, listener, if you are
delightful.
not into this, just skip forward a couple
No,
minutes.
don't you dare.
There's gonna be a quiz.
So the sugar beet was mentioned as an important food source for the builders of the pyramids in Egypt.
No way.
Yeah. Thank you for your enthusiasm.
No, now I'm picturing like ants.
And did they just like eat them like apples or
I
cut
don't
into them
know.
or cook them? Or
I don't know. In 1590, the first written record of using beets to produce sugar came from Oliver Dessert, a French author and soil scientist. And he wrote, "The juice yielded on boiling is similar to sugar syrup."
Huh.
I said, "Oh my God, this is so boring. I'm sorry." It
It's
says
not.
that in my
It's
notes.
fascinating.
It's not. It's good.
Okay. So it wasn't until 1747 that sugar was first actually produced from beets.
Okay.
That was done by a German chemist named Andrew S. Margraf. And then it wasn't until 50 years later that one of his students, Karl Franz Eichard, perfected the method, and the first sugar beet factory in the world was built in 1799
Oh.
in a region called Silesia, which is now mostly in Poland and partly in Germany and
Okay.
partly in the Czech Republic.
Okay.
So how borders change and whatever.
Istanbul, not
Yes.
Constantinople.
So, in 1806, Napoleon issued a blockade of any products from England or its colonies, which cut off France's supply of sugar and sent the price like skyrocketing because usually they could just get the cheap cane sugar produced by slave labor from the colonies. And so, they needed their pastries. And so in 1811, he issued a decree to establish beet sugar schools and to plant 79,000 acres of sugar beets so that France could produce its own sugar.
Okay.
So 79,000 acres is about 123 square miles. Way too many football fields or Walmarts. Okay. But in a previous episode, I mentioned Santa Cruz Island is about 95 square miles. So that's a measurement.
Okay.
That's a lot of sugar beets.
It's a lot of sugar beets. Yes. So while beet sugar production is spreading through Europe, it's also kind of taking off in the United States. But early attempts to grow sugar beets here and to produce the sugar were not going great.
Okay.
Like factories were being built and failing. There was one near Philadelphia in 1830, Massachusetts in 1840. Utah became a state in 1847, and because it was so expensive to transport goods there, Mormons were like establishing their own industry for all of the things that they needed. And so they tried to get the sugar beet industry going in 1852, but had just abandoned it by 1855. And so like...
Is that why like corn syrup became so frequently used here now? Because they couldn't...
I don't know. I don't know anything about corn syrup. Sorry.
We're not. This episode isn't about the
sponsored by sugar beets, Jen. Don't talk about corn syrup.
We're just talking about the history of sweeteners in the United States.
And Splenda. I'm not getting into that today. Sorry. So other factories were built and failing like all over the country. Farmers were either unwilling or unable to produce the volume of sugar beets needed to supply the factories. Okay. Oh, and like random note, cane sugar production was apparently almost entirely based in Louisiana at the time. And now it's really in like Louisiana, Texas, and Florida. So growing cane sugar requires a more tropical climate to grow.
That makes sense.
So back to our sugar beets. The first sugar beet refinery in California was built near San Francisco in 1856, but again, failed within a few years. In 1870, a factory was built in Alvarado, which is now Union City in the Bay Area. Oh. And the first beet sugar in California was finally produced. So it took 14 years from the first factory being built to even like to actually produce sugar from sugar beets.
Wow.
So that factory was pretty successful until a drought destroyed the sugar beet crop and the factory was closed. Another in Sacramento lasted a few years, but struggled with army worms, which I did not Google because I don't need to know about another new bug.
Sounds terrible.
And grasshoppers and drought, and eventually that one closed. And they also noted the inexperience of the people attempting to produce the sugar. So like clearly growing the sugar beets and then producing the sugar from them was like challenging.
Sugar beet industry is rough.
It is. So the one in Alvarado by 1882 was the only sugar mill in operation on the Pacific coast. And then in 1886, it was partially destroyed by a boiler explosion and it was rebuilt. And I promise we will get to Santa Barbara soon. But first, we're going to take a detour through Oxnard. Woohoo! So for anyone listening who's not familiar, Oxnard is a city about 45 miles southeast-ish, I guess, of us, like halfway between Santa Barbara and LA in Ventura County. So a man named Henry T. Oxnard. Did you know Oxnard was named after a person?
No, I thought it was like, I don't know what I thought it was, but I thought it had something to do with oxen.
Yeah.
I always thought it was an unfortunate name for a town, so now I feel it's an unfortunate name for a family.
Oxford is like where you would ford oxen over a river.
Oh.
So like, I thought it was something like
a term.
You would nard.
You would nard your oxen?
Is that like for like castrating?
I guess.
That would be Oxnard Denard or Ox Denard.
Oh my God. And our 12-year-old boy humor comes out. Yeah. So anyway, Henry T. Oxnard and his brothers ran the American Crystal Sugar Company, and they built a sugar beet factory near Port Hueneme. And Henry even planned to name Oxnard Zachary, which was the Greek word for sugar.
Because he was like,
name.
we just cannot go with Oxnard.
But
Nobody wants to buy houses here.
I know.
but like for some reason, it's so weird. Like I couldn't really. It just they were just like the town decision makers just didn't really get it. So he just named the town after himself. Which is so weird to me that
would do that.
Clearly he was like important enough to name
if you have the authority.
town. Like he had naming rights. But they were like, no. Like so like why couldn't he name it what he wanted? Anyway. So goofy.
They were just like, guys, it's gonna be funny forever.
I know, right?
Make him name it after himself.
Yeah. So after all of these attempts and failures in California and around the United States, finally the sugar beet industry is like thriving in California at the tail end of the 1800s. And so the people who ran the factory in Alvarado established Union Sugar Company, and in 1899 they built a sugar mill in North Santa Barbara County near Santa Maria.
Okay.
I told you we'd get here.
You did it.
We have arrived in Betteravia.
Brought us back around.
Fun fact, Santa Maria was called Grangerville, and then it was called Central City, and it was finally named Santa Maria in 1885.
They're just trying to be the center of something.
Yeah.
Like,
I was going to say,
we count.
Didn't you say they're trying to, like, they want to create a new county?
Constantly they want to secede from us. Yeah.
I remember they wanted to call themselves something dumb.
Oh, there were a lot of different
sorry.
names. One of them was Mission County, but like there have been a couple. Every time they want to secede, they pick a different name.
So funny.
Yeah.
Like,
maybe they should go with, what was the thing the guy wanted to name Oxnard?
Zachary?
They should just call themselves Zachary.
Yeah. So during construction of the factory, a hotel was built to house the workers. And then as the factory came into operation, the town of Betteravia was developed, like right next to the factory. I found some old photos that we will
Workforce
share.
housing.
Yeah.
That's a crazy concept.
Right?
Imagine that.
Yeah.
So there were 65 little cottages built and some larger homes, and then even nicer homes for like the superintendent and the plant manager. So like as you moved up in the company, you were offered better housing.
Summers and I just made faces and looked at each other. Boo hierarchy.
I know. And then I read that the plant manager's house had fish ponds and an aviary. And of course, like
An aviary? Why?
yeah, I don't know.
For birds.
Random. Yeah. Like aspirational. You can have disgusting birds.
I
And
know.
I like birds, but
But cleaning up after them
You
is
know,
nightmarish.
I had an aviary for a while.
Oh, you did?
mean
You had a
An
cockatoo?
actual
I had a
aviary?
cockatoo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had it. And I mean,
Is that
it's
a
just-
bird cage?
Yeah, it's just a big bird cage.
But like when you call it an aviary, don't you picture like I picture like
Well, it was big enough
the
that like
butterfly
I could
thing
walk
at the
inside.
museum. Yeah.
No, I mean it
Oh.
was big enough that I could walk.
Oh, you
inside.
had a big one. Okay.
Yeah, but it was in the backyard for her to
Oh, fun.
fly around in.
And there was also, of course, like, the minorities got the less good housing and were separate, like in
that's
different
great.
parts of, like kind of segregated.
no.
So it was not like all yay workforce housing. Like it wasn't perfect.
It was kind of like, meh, workforce housing.
Right.
No, boo, boo, workforce housing.
Yeah. So 65,000 acres, or about 10 square miles, of sugar beets were planted to supply the factory. But the first year they suffered from drought and beet blight. And
I can't use that to call in sick. I can't come in. I've got
I have beet blight.
beet blight. Please don't repeat that.
don't Google it either. So only
That
3,000.
just reminded me of
Yeah.
My friend got the morbs the other day. And I remember we were talking about that. Can't come into work. I've got the morbs.
Oh man. Okay. So only 3,000 acres were harvested this first year in operation. So they harvested 16,000 tons of beets, which produced 1,000
3 tablespoons.
1,607 tons of sugar.
Can I just jump in to say, sometimes we look at our analytics
Yeah.
for the pod, and Jen is in charge of interpreting the numbers.
That's right.
And she just does it incredibly wrong for our entertainment every time. And I like the callback to it with the 3 teaspoons.
Because everything's made up and the points don't matter.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, okay.
What is that from?
Ooh.
Whose line is it anyway?
Oh, funny. Oh, that's
Nice.
right. Yeah.
I knew it was from something. That's
That's how
good. It's
that's how I
progress.
view our analytics.
I love it.
So they produced 1,607 tons of sugar that first year, which sounds like a lot, but apparently was a disappointment compared to what they were like expecting and hoping for. And so for your context of how much a ton is.
Thank you. Thank you.
We know it as 2,000 pounds.
Uh-huh.
And what types of things weigh a ton, you ask?
I do ask.
The Liberty Bell?
I'm getting chills periodically during this episode because Liz is speaking my language.
Other things, 73 bars of gold bullion.
Thank you. That's a good callback too.
I know. I thought so. A walrus.
I love you. Have more babies.
I propose our official podcast weight measurement for a ton is a 1979 Volkswagen Beetle.
Yep, I'm for it. I'm for it. Jen, do you agree?
Only if I get to punch you every time we bring it up.
You can take turns. You can punch me too.
I don't like the tone of bullying that just happened to me on my
Slug
podcast.
You get one.
Liz taught my children slug bug, and now I have to get hit constantly. It's only fair.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
Why is it fair? Oh, I don't like it. Okay, I'm
no
for
hitting.
it. I'm for
So
it.
1,607 Volkswagen Beetles worth of sugar that first year.
Okay, that's a respectable amount.
I mean, I feel
but it
like-
wasn't what they were going
Yeah.
for. It was
It's
okay.
a lot of sugar walruses.
Shut your face.
Like a massive sugar cube, but it's in the shape of a walrus. Or a Volkswagen Beetle. So in 1901, which I think was like just the next year, they only managed to produce 3,500 tons. And then in 1903, they were up to 8,000 tons. So
Okay,
they're
making progress.
Yeah, making progress. In another episode, gosh, was it the Santa Cruz Island one? I mentioned that beef was big in Santa
Yeah, you
Barbara
did.
County. Well, right next to the factory, they had a feedlot that held like 60,000 cattle, and they fed the beet leavings to the cows. So like,
Okay.
yay for organics recycling.
Yeah.
A railroad line was built like right up to the factory to move supplies in and sugar out, and like it still exists.
Okay.
You can see it on Google Maps.
Cool.
They also used like 20 mule farm wagons to move produce to the factory. And an article in the Santa Maria Times talked about this and said that local legend has it that the streets of Santa Maria are exceptionally wide because as the town was laid out, one of these 20 mule wagons was circled to make sure that the streets were big enough to accommodate it.
Oh, I bet. Oh gosh, I have a reference to another. Can I? Sorry. On what's that podcast? Something percent invisible.
Oh,
99%.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
They talk about the city planning and design of Salt Lake City and how the streets there are so wide because they wanted to be able to like fully turn a mule train
yeah.
or something like that around, and that's why it takes forever to cross the street there. So
Oh,
yeah,
funny.
Santa Maria has
it does have big streets, right?
big wide streets. Yeah.
Yeah. So this article that I read was from I think 2006, and it was related to this book that was being released at the time, and it was written by a local author named Hal Madsen. And I was super bummed that I was like not going to be able to get my hands on this book because it's like super expensive on
Is this
Amazon.
why you dragged me to the genealogical library?
I dragged Jen to the genealogical library because they have a copy. So it's by Hal Madsen, and it's called Betteravia, Memories of a Modern California Ghost Town. It has tons of photos, historical information, interviews with people who lived there. There is this memory included from a woman named Roberta Woods. I don't know if she worked at the factory, but she said, the managers used to get together in the mornings for meetings over coffee. The coffee pot was a big one, and they never cleaned it. One day, Bill Crane knocked over his cup, and the contents took the varnish off the tabletop. They decided to clean the pot after that.
Oh, wow.
I know. So by 1918, the Union Sugar Factory in Betteravia was the sixth most successful beet sugar producer in California. And at its peak, I think there were over 2,000 residents living in this little town, and most of them worked for the factory. So in addition to the factory, the hotel, and the housing, they had a church, a fire department, a schoolhouse, a post office, a gas station, a general store, and a dance hall. There was...
Thriving life.
Yeah. There was a lake next to the factory called Guadalupe Lake, which was one of the largest natural lakes in California at one point, but
Does it still exist?
not much of it is left yet. So Madsen's book says the last time anyone water skied on it was in the 1950s. But it's like it's still labeled on Google Maps, like right next to the factory.
Yeah.
It's still labeled as that, but it's just like mostly
Just
like ag land and a little tiny bit of water.
Unwater skiable?
No, I don't think you can water ski on it. So the sugar factory was kind of declining in the 20s, but then there was like a bunch of growth in the 30s. Droughts every few years really hurt the crops, which is like not surprising.
Yeah,
That's
I was
just
gonna
what
say,
we have
and the
here.
rest of us.
Yeah. During World War II, like we talked about in earlier episodes, there was the oil tanker that was sunk by a Japanese submarine just up the coast in Cambria. There was a bombing at Elwood. And Summers, your German prisoners of war from Camp Cook, also worked in the sugar beet fields.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. And so another account in this book,
Nazi beets.
I know, from this quote was from
Such a good album. I apologize. You can cut that out.
Oh, okay. So
Oh,
why do we get so punchy during my episodes?
I don't know, but I love it. It's so
no. I
good.
can't stop. I'm about to silent laugh. Oh.
I'm sorry I interrupted with that. That's
okay.
Shitty.
Oh man.
Simmer down.
Okay. No. Okay. So another account in Hal Madsen's book was from a man named Ernest Righetti. And is this the namesake of Righetti High School?
Oh.
Is Righetti High School? Is that in Santa Maria? I don't know. Why do I know this name?
Yeah,
Wait,
probably.
no, that's
Lompoc?
Ventura
No?
County.
I don't
was
know
in
where it is.
Ventura? Okay.
I feel like we used to play them.
Okay. I was like, I know this is a school somewhere in the area. So I don't know if there's any relation to this man. But he said, German POWs were used to top the beets in our fields. They often had candy and they would share it with us kids. When we got home, Mom would make us throw it out because she thought it had been poisoned.
That would be me.
Yeah, no, that
Get
was
rid of that Nazi candy.
Yeah, that was like the poster.
Don't take candy from Nazis.
That was the idea with the U.S. Office of War Information
Yes.
Propaganda was like,
Grow your own, right?
Yeah.
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 So don't accept candy from the German POWs, kids. But also mentioned in this book, and I can't remember if we talked about this, but an enemy submarine washed up on at Pismo Beach.
what?
I think
What?
that was north of our stories.
I know, but I just didn't know if we talked about it at all.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I didn't think so either. So that's kind of wild. So in the 1960s, Union Sugar Company decided that it didn't want to maintain the town any longer. Keep up with the infrastructure and whatnot. And so they started selling off the cottages and telling people
Should've
to
bought
clear
one back
out.
then.
I know. So I saw one account that said they were sold for $50 a piece and saw one that said they were sold for $65. But some residents bought the houses and moved them off site.
Can I just?
Yeah.
That is such a fascinating thing to me. Like moving entire houses
right?
and buildings.
Yeah.
You
like,
can have it if you can move it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah. So some people stuck around until the company finally evicted the stragglers and shut it all down in 1966. So the houses that weren't moved were torn down, but apparently some of those houses are still there in like Orcutt and Guadalupe.
Oh, neat.
I know, right? So in March 1988, there was a sugar dust explosion at the factory.
What?
And several employees were hurt, some critically.
Oh, no.
One thing that I saw said that a few of them died, but I'm not 100% sure. By this time, sugar beets weren't being farmed around the factory, and the cost of transporting them in from Stockton and Los Baños and other areas in the state was getting to be too costly.
Oh, okay.
And then also the buildings were going to be required to be brought up to current earthquake safety codes and the boilers needed updating. And so like all of this is going to be expensive. So then in 1993, the factory was closed. And according to the Madsen book, at that time, it was the oldest operating sugar beet refinery in the country.
I was gonna say that was like 1993.
Yeah.
That wasn't that long ago.
I know. So what is left of this little town? It seems like it's just part of this aging factory. And so when this book came out in 2006, the property was owned by the Suddy family. And they ran their farming business out of the factory's office building, and other agricultural tenants still used space there.
Interesting.
Yeah, there was a movement in 1997 to bring back the lake. Like,
Oh, yeah?
yeah, like community members were they had like a Friends of Betteravia Lake, organization or something like that, and they were trying to get grant funding, but they didn't get any funding, and it just didn't go anywhere.
They all just filled a bucket and then went out there.
I know. And the lake's like, I don't actually know them.
I know, right?
They're not my friend.
So
They really wanted to water ski again.
yeah,
You're right.
so it is private property. So any abandoned urban explorer types who may be listening, do not seek the treasure. But like it's right on Betteravia Road, so
Okay.
you can drive by and check it out. According to Yelp, there's a bomb taco joint across the street.
Okay.
That's
but
enough to make me go.
I know,
Yeah,
right?
let's
You can just
go.
sit there and have some tacos and just like look at the factory. But Ghoul's
Tell
guide.
random people about the history of sugar beets.
Yes, right.
Uh-huh.
Did you know?
Yeah.
Fun fact, that place across the street is actually
They smell like bacon.
But yes, the Ghouls, we do not condone trespassing, even to see something super cool like this.
One of us does, but we're not going to tell you which one. No, I'm kidding. We don't.
as
we
a
don't.
kid I definitely
Oh,
did.
me too. Same.
We do not.
But others have done it and have shared their accounts and photos.
Oh, great. Okay.
So I found a couple that we'll share on our website, so you can see
Nice.
photos of the property if you are into that sort of thing.
And so that's Ghoul's Guide to SB.com.
That's right. But these folks who did trespass and go in there, like they said that it definitely felt sketchy, or
Okay.
they were approached by security,
Okay.
or given weird looks by truckers driving through the property, because
Yeah.
it is like, it's not like,
Tell them Large Marge said.
so it's not like, I don't know, the ghost towns that I went to as a kid where it was
Where it's-
just, but like now in hindsight, I'm like, well, were we trespassing? Like, or was this
No,
a place you were able to visit legally? But yeah, next time you're up in Santa Maria, cruise by and check it out. I looked on Google Maps and Google Street View, and you can see like what remains of the factory from the road. And then just some random tidbits that I wanted to tell you, but it just didn't really have a good spot in my story.
Okay.
The people who worked at sugar beet factories were called sugar tramps.
I was when you started that sentence, I was like, "Oh, are you going to tell us what they were called?"
Nice.
Satisfying.
Good. Okay.
So he's a sugar tramp, and I love him.
Yeah. And then people in the industry got
See what
their
you did.
Thanks.
I was hoping we would go there. People in the industry got their news from periodicals like Facts About Sugar.
Oh,
Sweet. Oh, sweet. Huh. No, that's dumb.
And also-
No pun intended.
sweet.
And also Sugar Beet Magazine.
Oh my god.
love Sugar
oh
Beet
my
magazine.
god. That's
Because it just
adorable.
harkens back to Teen Beat. And so I'm picturing like the heartthrobs of the sugar beet industry.
Vital
I was
stats
just picturing like
on a different beat.
beets with floppy hairdos on the cover.
Yeah.
Oh man. So anyway, my sources for this wonderful history of the sugar industry included the Santa Maria article that I mentioned, Santa Maria Times article by Emily Welly, the book Betteravia, Memories of a Modern California Ghost Town, Wikipedia, of course, the Santa Maria, oh no, I'm going to say it wrong because I didn't write it down, the Santa Maria Railroad
It's okay
history,
though, because we'll
folks.
be putting all of
Weekly.
our
Yeah.
sources on our website.
Yes. And then history of the beet sugar industry in California, and the 1937 master's thesis of Margaret Palmer Dennis on the history
cool.
of the beet sugar industry in California that she wrote when she was attending USC.
Aw.
Yeah. So we'll share all these sources on the
Diary of
website.
Mr. Oxnard.
I know.
Oh, boy.
Delightful.
So there's your story of Betteravia.
Oh, wow. Liz, that was excellent.
I feel better as a human for knowing these facts about sugar beets.
I'm glad.
I do. I know you're being sarcastic, but I love it. That was so interesting.
I wish I was being sarcastic. I'm not. I love this stuff.
So do we have a question for the Magic 8 Ball?
We
Oh,
do.
we had one.
I
What
had
was it?
one.
Okay.
It was if you guys were in York at the same
Oh,
time.
that's right. Oh, we didn't get out the 8 ball.
Okay. And that is a good question because I wasn't in New York for all of 2000, I don't think. I was like,
July 2000.
No, don't confirm it before the Magic
Okay.
8 Ball
Okay.
confirms it
Just
for
ask.
us.
Okay, am I doing it? Okay.
yeah.
It is certain.
Yay! And that is true. I was there in
were
July.
there? Yay!
Yeah.
Exciting. Passing like
Um,
ships in the night.
I know, right? Let's go back sometime. I want to go in a few
me too.
years.
Can the three of us go to York and go trick or treating.
Yes.
So that it'll be
And we're
like
gonna
all
take-
the Magic 8 Ball.
We're going to take Kat
intersections.
with us, my friend Kat.
Awesome.
She's going to go.
Can we also take my cat with us?
Yeah.
Okay. On the
No,
plane?
actually,
No.
because they have these rabies things. You have to like you can't.
You can't travel.
I mean, there might be a way to do it, but you have to like board your cat
For, like,
in
a
this
month or
official
something?
facility for a long time because of rabies.
I
Because
don't
they don't
wanna
have rabies there,
quarantine
so
you.
they don't want it.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
Sorry,
interesting.
Aaron Purr, you can't come to
You
York.
also can't come because I'm allergic to you.
Yeah. So
For many reasons, you don't get to come on this trip.
that was an awesome episode, Liz. Thank
Yay.
you so much.
Thanks.
So, y'all, you've been listening to the Ghoul's Guide to Santa Barbara. We've been Summers, Liz, and Jen.
Still are.
Yep. Thanks for listening, and be sure to join us again for our next episode when we're going to learn about another cold case, the murder of Margaret Centenay in Carpinteria.
Ooh. All right. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Hi, Mom.
Thanks for listening to the Ghoul's Guide to Santa Barbara. Like and subscribe on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Ghoul's Guide to SB.
Our website is ghoulsguidetosb.com. Got a spooky story or know of a haunted or paranormal location in Santa Barbara? Send it to us at ghoulsguidetosb@gmail.com.